My name is Krista Taylor, and the title for my capstone seminar project is Making Travel Matter: Sustainable Development Goals and CSR Initiatives of Global Tour Operators. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, worldwide travel had reached record highs, and according to the World Tourism Organization, worldwide tourism had grown exponentially from 500 million tourists in 1995 to 1.3 billion in 2017, and is forecasted to rise to 2 billion by 2030. This rapid rise in tourism can threaten the sustainability, authenticity, and the very existence of a destination being visited. Therefore, sustainable tourism is needed to preserve and to protect not only the destination, but the people and the culture of the destinations themselves. Tourism is one of the few industries with the potential to positively impact the global call for sustainability and social impact through corporate social responsibility, or CSR. Recent trends on CSR and tourism emphasize the pressure on corporations to develop and implement CSR strategies and sustainability practices, as consumers are now seeking sustainable options. Having worked in the tourism industry for 20 years and in many capacities, specifically as a European travel director on coach tours, I've witnessed firsthand the effects of over-tourism and the negative impacts that this can have on destinations and cultures. It's for this reason I sought to determine if there was a way to make travel matter by way of sustainable tourism. And this discourse is very timely because as we emerge from COVID-19, the future of travel is unknown. And so my professional interests in sustainability practices, specifically of global tour coach companies, provided the framework for my research objectives and for my research question. And this study sought to answer the following question: do the sustainability practices of large-scale global coach tour operators coincide with the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations World Tourism Organization? CSR in tourism, as defined by Lund Gerlacher, was the theoretical framework used for my study. It is with the expectation that by acting as socially responsible citizens, an organization's actions, and therefore the actions of their clients, can mitigate risk, prevent over-tourism, and contribute to sustainable tourism practices. And this exploratory research study included qualitative data collection and inductive content analysis, as limited research exists on this topic. The United Nations World Tourism Organization, or the UNWTO, is the United Nations agency that is responsible for sustainable practices and universally accessible tourism. They have created 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which are effective ways by which tourism stakeholders can contribute and work towards CSR. Tourism has the potential to contribute to all 17 goals. As such, the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, were used as the framework for coding. Based upon my expertise of the tourism industry, I was very specific with my sample size, and due to the time constraints of the study, I chose a small sample size of 3 large-scale global coach tour operators to examine. To be considered, there were several criteria that needed to be met, but I chose large-scale tour companies as my focus because I believe that they have the ability to reach the largest number of people because they have the most amount of people on their tours. I also chose to examine companies who have a long-standing history in the tourism industry and have been in operation for a minimum of 75 years, as I believe this led to an even greater ethical need for CSR. The end sample size included 3 large-scale global coach tour operators: Colette, Globus, part of the Globus family of brands, and Trafalgar, part of the Travel Corporation. The data was collected by an initial scan on the websites of the UNWTO and their related websites. I sought publicly available information from touring company web pages and hyperlinked related websites as well. Data from each web page related to the search was saved into Word documents and uploaded into Delve, which was a qualitative software analysis tool, where a second round of coding helped identify key areas. Using an inductive coding process, I read each document and sought out key words or phrases. Initially using the UNWTO's information, I identified 20 keywords. I then analyzed a second sample of data, which was all of the information from the tour companies. From there, I was able to compile information under each code and able to condense the initial 20 codes into 6 codes with subcategories. My final units of analysis were CSR, partnerships, sustainability, tour-specific initiatives, client education, and goals. The findings from this study showed that all 3 tour operators displayed a commitment to incorporating sustainability practices into their operations and as part of their CSR programs. There were consistent themes, but there were differences in terms of how they wanted to achieve those objectives. Partnerships was a common theme amongst all 3 companies, and the partnerships was the collaboration to achieve the company's sustainability goals. Each company had created their own private foundation to support their CSR strategy. The Colette Foundation, which focuses on community, people, travel, and planet. The Globus Lighthouse Project, which was dedicated to supporting causes that provide a more sustainable planet. And the Treadright Foundation, which was overseen by the Travel Corporation and Trafalgar. And their mission is to positively impact people, protect wildlife and marine life, and to care for the planet. In terms of initiatives, each company adopted sustainability goals into their business plans, but how they attempted to achieve those goals varied. The common themes were wildlife, planet, and people. Trafalgar specifically links their initiatives to the UNWTO's goals, but neither Colette nor Globus do, even though their initiatives support those goals. And this can be explained by the fact that they're aligned with other sustainability programs and organizations, such as Tourism Cares or One Planet, or they might not fully meet the criteria required by the UNWTO to publicly state that they support those goals. Each operator, though, integrated their initiatives into their individual CSR programs, and effectively they've aligned their CSR strategies with the mission and vision statement of their companies, but also of their foundations as well. In terms of sustainability plans, each company expressed a continued commitment to CSR, and that really indicates an awareness of CSR as a never-ending commitment. So it's not a one-time only thing. It is something that they are going to continue throughout the lifespan of their business themselves. The largest tour operator, which was Trafalgar has multiple sister companies under the Travel Corporation banner. They had the most comprehensive plan to achieve these goals, which was one of the expectations from my research studies. However, one finding of particular interest was that Colette, who was the smallest tour operator with only one brand, was the second most active in terms of sustainability measures and practices. Globus, which has 4 sister brands, while stating on their website that they supported client education, they did not address how that would be done or what the experiences could entail. So my initial assumption that the larger companies should have the most impact was disproven by this particular study. Both Colette and Trafalgar went into specific detail about what their efforts were, how clients could be part of positive change, and specific initiatives to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And while all 3 operators displayed a commitment to incorporating practices, there is a lack of evidence to determine if these measures are working. But this can be attributed to the fact that we've had a pause in tourism for 2 years because of COVID. And so many of the strategies were just set in place in 2017 and released thereafter. Trafalgar was the only operator that published a CSR report. And it also further illustrates a lack of common reporting standards in the tourism industry. 2 commonalities were found amongst all 3 operators in the fact that each operator had eliminated the use of single-use plastics on their tours and have all moved towards paperless documentation for their guests. finally, each tour operator had introduced experiences on their trips where guests would have the opportunity to be an active contributor to sustainability by way of experiences. The differentiating factor was the extent to which these were introduced on tours and the extent to which they were recognized. Trafalgar referred to their on-tour experiences as Make Travel Matter experiences. Globus did not associate their on-trip experiences with any moniker to indicate it was part of a larger initiatives. And finally, Colette referred to their on-tour experiences as impact moments. Both Trafalgar and Colette's on-tour experiences were hands-on learning activities and educational experiences that address several of the UN's SDGs. While there were ethical considerations and limitations, suggestions for future research would include revisiting the initiatives and goals of the companies in 5 years to see if they have accomplished what was set out in their CSR policies. The study can also be replicated using different samples of tour operator criteria. Thank you very much. And here are my references.